For Pacifica Radio, I'm Christina Onnested. Ukraine's Foreign Minister Dmytro Kuleba, one of the country's most recognizable faces in the international stage, has submitted his resignation. He's among 5 cabinet ministers to resign late Tuesday in what's likely the biggest cabinet reshuffle since Russia's 2022 invasion. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky indicated last week a reshuffle was imminent. He said today Ukraine needs new energy that includes in diplomacy. Meanwhile, Russian strikes killed at least 7 people in the Ukrainian city of Lviv near the Polish border. This comes a day after one of the deadliest missile attacks since the war began killed at least 50. The U.S. Justice Department announced terrorism charges against Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar and other militants in connection with the October 7th attack in southern Israel. The criminal complaint filed in federal court in New York City includes charges of conspiring to provide material support to a foreign terrorist organization, resulting in death. Here's Attorney General Merrick Garland.
The charges unsealed today are just one part of our effort to target every aspect of Hamas's operations. These actions will not be our last. The Justice Department has a long memory. We will pursue the terrorists responsible for murdering Americans and those who illegally provide them with material support for the rest of their lives.
The charges were filed in February but unsealed after the assassination of Ismail Haniyeh, Hamas's ceasefire negotiator. He's also named in the charges. A federal judge has rejected Donald Trump's request to intervene in his New York hush money criminal case, thwarting the former president's latest bid to overturn his felony convictions and delay his sentencing before the November election. District Judge Alvin Hellerstein ruled Tuesday Trump had not satisfied the burden of proof required for a federal court to take control of the case from state courts where it was tried. Manhattan prosecutors raised objections to Trump's efforts to delay his post-trial decisions in the case. Trump's lawyers challenged the decision, appealing to the Second Circuit Court of Appeals late Tuesday. Trump was convicted in May of 34 felony counts in an election interference case for falsifying business records to conceal a hush money payment to an adult film star who alleged an affair with Trump, which threatened to disrupt his 2016 presidential run. Trump has denied any wrongdoing and claims of an affair. Meanwhile, he's facing scrutiny from Democratic presidential candidate Kamala Harris's campaign over recent statements Trump made on his efforts to overturn the election loss to Joe Biden in 2020. More from Catherine Carley.
Whoever heard you get indicted for interfering with a presidential election where you have every right to do it? You get indicted and your poll numbers go up.
Former President Donald Trump says he may be facing federal and state charges for trying to overturn the 2020 election, but insists he had every right to do it. Trump has not said whether he would accept the results of this year's contest should he lose. Vice President Kamala Harris's campaign says Trump's remarks show he believes he's above the law. I'm Catherine Carley for Pacifica Network and Public News Service.
Vice President Kamala Harris is using a New Hampshire campaign stop to propose an expansion of tax incentives for small businesses today. She's presenting a pro-entrepreneur plan that may soften previous calls for wealthy Americans and large corporations to pay higher taxes. She wants to expand $5,000 to $50,000 tax incentives for small business startups with the goal of eventually spurring 25 million new small business applications over 4 years. Meanwhile, Republican former President Trump will campaign in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania today at a town hall event with Fox News host Sean Hannity. Texas Democrats are calling on the Department of Justice to investigate the state attorney general for possible civil rights violations after state authorities raided the homes of Latino civil rights advocates with the group LULAC, the League of United Latin American Citizens, over claims of voter fraud and vote harvesting. The group charges state intimidation and voter suppression. More from Catherine Carley.
A Latino civil rights group is asking the U.S. Justice Department to investigate Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton's order that volunteers' homes be searched for evidence of vote fraud. Phones, computers, and documents were seized, but no charges have been filed. Critics call it Gestapo-style intimidation, and Roman Palomares with the League of United Latin American Citizens says it's voter suppression.
It is evident through his patterns of lawsuits, raids, searches, and seizures that he is trying to keep Latinos from voting.
I'm Catherine Carley for Pacifica Network and Public News Service.
More than 150 Democrats have filed an amicus brief to intervene in a lawsuit challenging Tennessee's ban on transgender health care before the Supreme Court. Arguments are expected to begin this fall, though a date has not yet been set. The amicus brief filed Tuesday charges discrimination and anti-trans sentiment led to the state's ban, quote, motivated by an animus towards the trans community and as part of a cruel, coordinated attack on trans rights by anti-equality extremists, unquote. The amicus brief was led by some LGBTQ members of Congress, including Congressional Equality Caucus Chair Mark Pocan of Wisconsin, who said in a statement decisions about health care belong to patients, their doctors, and their families, not politicians. Tennessee's Senate Bill 1 bans surgery, puberty blockers, and hormone treatment for trans youth. The Biden administration filed suit arguing it violates the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment. The brief is co-signed by more than 150 Democrats in the House, 8 Democrats in the Senate, and Vermont Independent Senator Bernie Sanders. With the Supreme Court turning over abortion access to states in the Dobbs decision, it's possible the Trump-era conservative majority could rule similarly on transgender care. A new Centers for Disease Control report shows an increasing number of Americans are dying from antidepressant drug overdose. The study shows deaths have steadily increased every year from 1999 to 2022, the most recent data set. I'm Christina Onnested, reporting for Pacifica Radio.